siku ya leo.
Hii ni Chemsha Bongo bwana. Chemsha Bongo kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 2:15 usiku hapa Radio 1.
Hakika kipindi ni kizuri na maswali hakika yanaulizwa ni yale kabisa yaliyopo katika jamii zetu.
Twende kazi sasa. Chemsha Bongo.
News tonight. President Samia Suluhu Hassan directs police force to speed up investigations and avoid baseless cases. 800 Ngorongoro Conservation Area employees start to move out of the reserve. And in sports, younger sports club coach concerned on team's strikers force ahead of JKT Tanzania clash. Good evening, this is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's get started with the national news. The President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Samia Suluhu Hassan, has directed the police force in the country to speed up investigations and avoid baseless cases which contribute to overcrowding in remand prisons. President Samia Suluhu Hassan said this during the launch of a police uniform production factory in Kurasini, Dar es Salaam, constructed at the cost of 666.4 million shillings from a force account.
Lakini pia niongee na jeshi la polisi nanyi kupunguza kesi za kubambikiza.
I would also like to speak with the police force to reduce unreal cases. There are many of such cases in courts. Once you get to reduce them, definitely the number of people in our cells will be reduced. Because under such circumstances, nothing can be achieved. Even investigations will never reach its end. In regard to such cases, even PCCB have dismissed 147 cases. This also goes out to the police force to also check on such cases so that we could reduce the number of people in cells.
Jeshi la polisi, sheria zetu tunazozitunga ni sheria za udhibiti.
The police force, laws that we make for control purposes. Therefore, we must not focus too much on using the law and the component on crime and punishment as a source of income for the force, but rather they should be used for control purposes instead of issuing fines and other charges. I would like to stress upon the importance of education to the general public. I commend you for programs you use to impart knowledge, but I'm asking that you put more effort so that people hear you and understand you.
Honorable President, I am deeply happy to be one of the witnesses of this special day on the launch of this important factory, because the first factory was constructed back in the colonial era, which does not meet current demands of the police force. I would like to thank Honorable President for attending this important event. As what the Inspector General said, the country is safe and people are still doing their activities peacefully.
Hali ya ulinzi na usalama wa nchi yetu unaridhisha sana. Hatuna matukio makubwa ya kutisha.
The situation of security and safety of the country is very pleasant, although there are still some minor crimes that we are still fighting them. But we also face challenges of transnational organized crimes like drug trafficking, terrorism, among other transnational organized crimes. From cooperation with East Africa Police Force, YAPCO, SAPCO, and CAPCO, hopefully we shall succeed in combating such crimes. If you look at statistics of January to February 2020 to January to February 2021, transnational organized crimes have decreased by 13.5%.
Januari mpaka Aprili 2020 ukilinganisha na Januari Aprili 2021.
A day after the special committee formed to evaluate the coronavirus pandemic submitted their 19 recommendations to manage the pandemic, including recommendation number 5, which advises the government to permit people to have access to the COVID-19 vaccine. Some residents of Dar es Salaam have received the recommendations with mixed views.
Kwa upande wangu mimi naona ni sawa tu kama serikali imeamua tupate chanjo wa Tanzania, haina haja ya kupinga. Na pia tunatakiwa tuwe na imani na serikali ya awamu ya sita. Kwamba maana unajua kwa Tanzania kila mtu ana fikra zake, mwingine atasema mbona mheshimiwa rais ya awamu aliyopita alikataa kuhusu masuala ya chanjo, mbona mama analeta masuala ya chanjo. Mimi naona ni sawa kwa sababu wote tumeingia katika janga hilo. Basi ambaye anaweza kutumia tiba za asili kujikinga na corona yupo sawa. Ambaye pia atakubali aingie kwenye chanjo pia yupo sawa.
Meanwhile, President Samia Suluhu Hassan today also participated in video conference meeting to discuss how to save the economies of African countries as well as deal with the COVID-19 pandemic, a meeting that was held in France.
Tanzania would call upon multilateral institutions, including the World Bank and the African Development Bank, to scale up concessional financing to socio-economic projects with view to reviving the economies and address the social effects of COVID-19 through designing a financing package which avails more concessional resources for financing infrastructure projects. Tanzania would also suggest for the support of private sector investment through mobilizing resources under concessional terms through capitalizing African development financing institutions. This will enable micro, small and medium enterprises access affordable funding from DFI for investment.
And hundreds of residents of Nyambiti Street, Buzuruga, Ward Ilemela district, with the murder of a youth identified as Dennis Peter, who is alleged to have died at the hands of the area's street chairman, have turned up to witness the casket of the deceased in the office of the local government.
Kitendo hiki cha polisi kutumia nguvu na kuchukua mwili kubaliki na jamii kwa sababu watuhumiwa wanaonekana ni ofisi ya serikali ya mtaa. Na mimi baada ya ile tukio kuja nilipigwa simu na mganga mkuu Mfawizi.
The police taking the body is not acceptable in our society because those accused are from the local government authority office. And when I got to the local government authority office, I found that people were being beaten.
Sisi tunataka tuomboleze msiba wa mtoto wetu.
We want to mourn the passing of our child. They had agreed that today we were to bury him, and this is why we were allowed to come here. Our job is to conduct an investigation, and if found guilty, he'll be taken to court. What I'm asking from you is, we shall take these people with us, but what I need of you is to lay the body to rest.
The fourth phrase of President of Tanzania, Dr. Jakaya Kikwete, while opening a symposium to discuss the quality of education in the country, has said that due to provision of poor education and presence of technological developments, there is a big possibility of the occurrence of a large wave of unemployment in the country, and that there is a need for the education system to be reviewed so that it can match the changes taking place globally.
Management, the performance of the education system. It's about management, it's about efficiency, it's about cutting waste, and to ensure better education outcomes. We always talk about finance, but if you get finance in an efficient education system, you don't get the results.
The aim of our cooperation is to strengthen the education sector in Tanzania in collaboration with the government, and we celebrate with them the art of bringing together 140 active member civil society organizations working with education under one umbrella. TENMET support is one amongst others that represents Sweden's drive to empower and coordinate grassroots organizations towards self-realization and value creation.
The Parliament has approved the Ministry of Works and Transport's 3.7 trillion shilling budget estimate for the 2021-2022 financial year. Contributing to the budget debate, some members of Parliament gave their views on construction of airports, while others questioned delayed implementation of some road construction projects.
Tunachohitaji kufanya ili kupunguza tatizo la haya magonjwa ni kufuata mtindo bora wa maisha.
In order to reduce the problem of diseases, what needs to be done is to adhere to proper lifestyle. We eat food unnecessarily. God never created sugar. He created starchy foods that naturally are comprised of sugar. We eat a lot of sugar. World Health Organization advises on lower consumption of sugar by not exceeding 5 spoons of sugar per day. We also eat a lot of salt. World Health Organization advises on consumption of salt not exceeding 1 teaspoon per day. And exercises are very important.
Sasa kama bunge, jukumu letu kubwa.
As the Parliament, we did a lot of efforts in reducing death on communicable diseases in the country. If more efforts will be addressed on non-communicable diseases, then we shall succeed in improving health of Tanzanians.
Wameeleza elimu yao, wameeleza maarifa yao.
They have shared their knowledge and skills, while at the same time delivered their recommendations, whereas the Parliament, we shall work on them diligently.
Kwa hivyo tumeyachukua, tutayafanyia kazi sawa sawa na kazi ambapo mambo sheria inaelekeza.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation, Ambassador Liberata Mulamula, has met and held talks with the Polish Ambassador to Tanzania, Krzysztof Buzlowski, as well as the Swiss Ambassador to Tanzania, Didier Chisot, at the Ministry's office in Dar es Salaam to discuss various matters regarding bilateral cooperation between Tanzania and the two countries in health, education, tourism, trade and investment sectors. And Ngorongoro Conservation Area Authority has begun to move the officers and more than 800 employees and their families from the reserve to Karatu as part of implementation of the plan to reduce the number of people and human activities within the conservation area.
Wafanyakazi zaidi ya 500.
More than 500 employees were forced to enter reserves every day because of fulfilling their responsibilities. Now, in addition to their families, that number goes up to 1,000 people living inside the reserves without valid reasons of allowing such traffic within reserves. In order to reduce population of humans within the reserves, we shall officially relocate to Karatu before the end of this month.
Ngorongoro ilianza rasmi mwaka 1959. Na wakati inaanza kulikuwa na wakazi 8,000 tu.
Ngorongoro began in 1959 with only 8,000 residents in the area. Years later, population numbers increased. According to 2015 census report, Ngorongoro had a total of 98,183 people. 4 years have passed since the census was carried out. With regard to issues of reproduction and migration, the number of people in the area will not remain the same. Right now, approximately the number has reached to 100,000.
Kasi ya sisi wa Afrika kuzaliana tunaijua.
And the head of delegation of the European Union in Tanzania and East Africa Community, Ambassador Manfred Fanti, has opened the exhibition in a campaign aiming at communicating about the impact of climate change and its resilience measures. Addressing a press conference in Dar es Salaam, Ambassador Fanti said that even though Tanzania does not cause climate change, it is affected highly by its impact, just like other countries globally.
We also are very conscious of the fact that Tanzania and other African countries are not contributing very much to the climate change phenomena, but this is more an issue that is caused by the more industrialized countries. And this is important because this has a consequence on the way we work together. First of all, the work here, together with the government and with the civil society, is focused very much on adaptation. So how Tanzania, the people of Tanzania, can be resilient to the phenomena of climate change.
That's all for the national news. International news is next. In international news, dozens of airstrikes pounded Gaza on Tuesday as the U.S. President Joe Biden expressed support for a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas in a phone call with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Here is more.
A new front in the conflict opened as the Israel military said it also shelled Lebanon in response to 6 failed rocket launches from southern areas in the neighboring country. President Biden held his third phone conversation with Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu since violence flared on May 10th and expressed support for a ceasefire. At least 213 Palestinians, including 61 children, have been killed in Gaza since the attacks began.
Wajir Deputy Governor Ahmed Ali Mukhtar has been sworn in as the governor of Wajir County in Kenya following the Senate's move to uphold the impeachment of Mohamed Abdi Mahmoud.
Sworn in a Tuesday after the gazettement of Mahmoud's impeachment by Senate Speaker Ken Lusaka. The former Wajir Governor Mohamed Abdi Mahmoud was impeached on grounds of gross violation of the Constitution of Kenya of 2010, the County Government Act 2012, the Public Procurement and Disposal Act 2015, and the Public Finance Management Act of 2012.
The results of the vote: abstentions 4, nays 2, ayes 25. Honorable Mohamed Abdi Mahmoud, Governor of Wajir County. The governor accordingly ceases to hold office.
And the parliament in Uganda has continued to swear in members of parliament elected in the general election held in January of this year. The swearing-in exercise of legislators is expected to take place throughout the whole week. That's all for the international news. Business news follows after this short break.
Tune in to Business Edition and meet business leaders and experts who keep you informed on business and economic developments taking place in the country, such as tourism, construction, energy, transport, mining, agriculture, communication, banking, real estate, and more. Business Edition on Friday at 8:15 p.m. only on Capital Television.
In business news, Mikumi National Park in Morogoro region has been incurring an annual loss of 18 billion shillings caused by tourists entering the park for free along the Morogoro-Iringa Road.
ukijaribu kudadavua kwa mwezi mnapoteza au mnapoteza shilingi.
A month we lose about 1.5 billion, and in a year it is 18.8 billion. There should be an alternative route rather than going around.
Mobile phone Vodacom Tanzania has launched into the market a new service called Sauti Pass, which will enable people with visual impairment to access M-Pesa mobile financial services by using voice commands.
Sauti Pass inapozidi kueleweka na watu wanakuja kuizoea.
As more people gain an understanding, we will be able to use it in a lot of products. Therefore, we must continue to use it. This product is for all our customers.
Ya wateja wetu wote. Na sisi tunafanya sana kazi kwa karibu pia na watoa huduma kwa sababu wao ndio wanatoa huduma.
We work very closely with service providers who serve the people we represent. We commend you for coming out with this product because we know a lot of our customers will benefit, including those with disabilities.
And as the government continues to improve the investment climate, including that of the blue economy, the private sector has been called on to collaborate with the government by looking for opportunities in deep-sea fishing.
Tufaidike na rasilimali ya uvuvi wa bahari kuu. Njia pekee ni kwamba
in order to profit from sea fishing, we must invest. If people are able to fish and there is proper infrastructure, it means that the entire value chain will benefit us.
Zanzibar na bara lazima tushirikiane kwa sababu tunashare bahari kwa pamoja.
Zanzibar and the mainland must work together because we share the same ocean, meaning our policies must be the same and there are areas that we must look into together.
Tabia nchi kwa sababu bahari ikiwa ina matatizo, manake ni kwamba hata hizo resources kwenye bahari zitakuwa haziwezi kupatikana vizuri.
That's all for business news. Sports is next.
Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's being dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Away first time, good start from Bolt. Bolt leading a moment of going away. Gay trying to go with him, and he's being dragged through the second place, but he's going to win it by 2 meters. Opposition, Marquinhos, he did lose to Lend.
And now in sports. Yanga Sports Club coach Nasruddin Nabi has expressed his concern with his side's strikers' force, insisting they must improve for the remaining matches in the mainland Premier League.
According to the Tunisian tactician, who is yet to win a match in the top flight since replacing Cedric Kaze, the Jangwani Giants are creating several scoring chances, but the strikers are not putting them to use. Nabi says he will work on the situation and make sure his strikers start getting it right ahead of the next league fixture against JKT Tanzania in Dodoma tomorrow. Yanga are currently chasing the title and will need to beat JKT to close the gap between them and rival Simba Sports Club, who are at the top of the 18-team table.
And teams participating in the New Era Cricket Cup now have to make up for games suspended during the holy month of Ramadan.
First, the tournament goes through the first, second and third classes. What we're witnessing here is the second class Aces. Already played one game against KNB Construction and they won. And now they are playing JP Black Stars. We had a short rest, but we have started again well.
Harry Kane has reiterated his stance that he wants to leave Tottenham this summer.
The 27-year-old has grown frustrated over the club's inability to compete at the highest level, having seen his side fall out of contention to secure Champions League football for next season. Spurs have long been reluctant to entertain bids for their talisman, but the England captain is hoping that they will soften their stance after his long service to the club. Daniel Levy will demand a huge fee for Kane, who prefers a move within the Premier League as he's on a long-term deal until 2024. Manchester United, Manchester City and Chelsea are potentially viable destinations, although it is still unclear as to whether a move will materialize.
Roy Hodgson is to leave Crystal Palace and retire as a manager at the end of the season. Here are more details.
The announcement was made before Wednesday's game at home to Arsenal, allowing the fans to returning to Selhurst Park to pay tribute to the 73-year-old who has kept Palace in the Premier League since taking over in 2017. Hodgson's career as a coach and manager began in 1976 in Sweden and has taken him to jobs across Europe as well as the United Arab Emirates. Most notably, he was manager of England, Liverpool and Internazionale. He came to Palace having left the England role following the team's exit from Euro 2016, and his final match will be at Liverpool on Sunday.
Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has blamed Manchester United fans' protest against the Glazers' ownership for the defeats to Leicester City and Liverpool in the past two home games.
The United manager called on supporters to get behind his team when they returned to Old Trafford for the first time since the easing of lockdown restrictions in Tuesday night's fixture against Fulham. United lost 2-1 to Leicester and 4-2 to Liverpool in the first two home matches held after the initial attempt to play the later fixture was postponed on 2nd of May. This happened after some of the crowd who gathered on the stadium forecourt broke in and entered the pitch, with violence also occurring. There was also a protest at the team hotel in the centre of Manchester.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin. My name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Capital News live on our social media accounts, YouTube Capital TV and Facebook Capital Television Tanzania from Monday to Friday at 9:30 p.m. Don't forget to subscribe and put notification on.